So come on, what am I forgetting? Hit yourself on the side of your head. Wait, here it comes. Oh god damn maples. Hit the dried maples on Class's roof. Oh yes. There were maples in the grass when you got there, and maples on Class's balcony. The flowers, the white flowers, the white flower petals. There was white flowers right here too. And nowhere else, nowhere in all of Martiniz have you seen them. That's so interesting. Wait, don't forget the footprints. The diagonal prints in the dust in the secret space behind Class's bedroom. Now they're gonna come up. Of course, thank you, Head, thank you. You got it? Remember the footprints were like no modern soul. Yeah, that's why, because it doesn't have. Maybe don't beat yourself anymore though. You're not immortal. That's true though. The goddamn maples, they're actually important. I tried to crap them, but I couldn't crap it. Maples. Behind the victim's window, I saw them growing here. Point to them.
Damn Maybells. The whole island is turning white with them.
He looks at the blossoming field. He seems tender suddenly, nostalgic even. A strange mood swing.
So many this year too. The spring is coming. No, it's already here. Wash the filth away.
I haven't seen these flowers anywhere else in Martiniz. Only here.
They blossom on the islets before. We fertilize them with our blood. Resurrection was snow white in May, before they ruined it.
He looks at the water. South of the Bay of Martiniz is dotted with the little freckles of islets turning green with white flowers in white snow.
The coast, too, before they piled their containers on top of it, filled with broken, useless trash for fat-fingered bourgeois children to play with.
You must get around a lot to stay undetected all these years. Do you know any secret paths? Pinball workshops?
The lieutenant's voice is soft, friendly.
I may.
A curious tremor passes his face. A young woman called Klasle, ring any bells? Flowers like these were behind her window.
Classier.
He repeats the name with care, as if it were a risk of breaking, as if it were at risk. You like the name, don't you? She had intimate relationship with the victim, the mercenary.
With the victim.
He turns his sight from the whitening field of flowers and falls silent. Then the muscles in his jaw twitch, a spasm. There is a small tremble. Looks like a smile. A crooked smile. It isn't quite voluntary. It's about to burst. Don't leave any loose ends. Get him on everything. I wonder what brand of boots you're wearing, by the way.
Everything is brands with you individualists. Who cares what brand my shoes are? Sansa. Some shit.
He looks his running shoes, covered in mud.
Show me the soles, please, Mr. Doras.
Fucking imbecile.
The old man stretches out his leg. A black and white spiral pattern covers the sole of the worn-out old running shoes on his feet. The maker is Sansa Rikik. The model is Scorpale and the size is 43. That's a good legendary success with the perception. My perception is ridiculously good nowadays. These are not the unusual horizontal pattern soles you saw in the dust on the floor of the hidden room. They do, however, seem to be about the same size.
The size fits, but not the sole.
Yeah, the lieutenant comes to the same conclusion. Well, I can try, but my trauma is not good, obviously not. Wait, maybe it's simpler than that. Probably, I don't know. Success. Yes, I closed my eyes. Yeah, sire, it doesn't have to be wearing them right now. People change shoes. It doesn't mean you weren't there, near the room the victim died in, sneaking around.
Racking those brains, are you? Desperate to report something back to your masters? They must have really loved that dead fuck.
No, they didn't. He squints at you, black pearls gleaming with hatred. The lieutenant gives you a quick sideways glance and nods to acknowledge. The prints were his. You can see it in those eyes. You can't keep them from flickering, looking for something. The old man stares at his own prints in the ash around the fire, silent suddenly, some strange process within him, a gust of wind, seagulls in the distance.
You know who he was. A coalition-trained murderer, armored and armed. He wasn't human. The blunt end of a hammer, dripping with blood.
Well, maybe you should then killed his mercenary friends too. Didn't they all fit that thing? They killed some other people that had nothing to do with any of it. He suddenly jerks to life. He was a soldier too. He was a man, just like you are.
Beating us to the ground, moaning with joy. You hounds get so thorough when a company-trained killer dies. I haven't seen you on this coast for 40 years. You know, maybe I should have killed one sooner.
Well, that's kind of a confession then. Moaning with joy. Well, he breathes in with a strange animation. The thing is, you cost the lives of a lot of other people. The main issue here was not that it was a murderer or someone that was a killer. It was the issue that his compatriots were planning to indeed also take action into their own hands and kill others. And they didn't know to come to you, so...
Got your attention. Now you stop beating druggies and prostitutes in your basement. Now you come to investigate. Not when they die by the hundreds.
He looks you dead in the eye, pupils shaking, he beats through flared nostrils. The thing is, again, if you talk about what happened in the war, was RCM even a thing? Well, we definitely didn't even live at the time. You've lived here as long as we've been alive. So, again, even if you could be blaming overall our institution or something, you can't blame us because we're not even old enough to have done anything of the sort. So, it's a foolish thing to do. So you shot him.
Oh, the inhumanity. One paramilitary less in Revachol.
He closes his black eyes. Unfortunately, it happened to be the best of those old guys that were there from the military. If you only could have killed someone else rather than him, who was the best of them all. You can almost see him squeeze a tear out of his eye. His fist begin to tremble from the anger. The lieutenant raises his right arm to hush you. Hush. He does not need to be pushed anymore. The ball is rolling. While the lieutenant listens, holding his breath. Hold your breath too.
I had them in my sights. Both of them. Him and the whore. I was breathing with them, in phase. And I pulled the trigger and flew on the air until I landed in his mouth.
He begins to smile.
I didn't think I had a shot like that in me anymore. I did. I saw him kneel there with his mouth full of death, and that stupid look on his face. And his dick still in her.
The smile quivers. Then what?
Nothing. I went to sleep. Next morning there were Maybells everywhere. The world was white, or what's left of it anyway. My last spring here. I knew the fascists would come to avenge their own.
He wasn't one of our own, but the thing is, others died because of it. Basically.
And so they did.
Mr. Dross, are you aware you're confessing to murder?
The lieutenant asks after a second of silence.
Yes.
A single word is all he gives.
And you were looking at them, the victim and a young woman, having sex, through the scope of your rifle that night, before you shot him?
The lieutenant takes out his notebook slowly, very slowly. The old man nods.
Why?
Because that's what they were doing.
He shrugs, then smacks his lips. The motive. This is where the motive is going to come from. You can coax it out of him. The lieutenant is preparing the ground.
I don't understand. Do you, detective? I don't understand this part.
So why were you looking at them that night?
I'm always looking.
He cocks his head to the side, then turns his eyes to the city. Another tremor passes him his right side lower intensity.
Are you always looking through the scope of a rifle? I'm just trying to understand.
He explains.
A rifle scope has the best magnification.
Helps him see all the shit.
And if you don't like it,
If it's part of the shit, you see.
then you pull the trigger?
Yes. Think of it as a form of critique.
Well, that's more than just art critique that I've been doing. He looks the lieutenant in the eye. You got him going. Connect every little piece now. Wrap this up like a gift. Start with when he first saw him. It will give him a chance to ramble. That's unlikely to happen. So, when did you first see the deceased?
3 weeks ago, when the rich hag came in on her galley. Her honor guard came in tow.
Yeah, I know who. Yeah, Joyce Messier. By that you mean Joyce Messier, the Wild Pines rep.
Wrinkled up whore.
He nods. What's with these wars and terrorists? Aren't you a communist?
Black sexual morals are a bourgeois ploy. As to pederasty, the party legalized it in '04. My party, not your liberal masters.
He spits it out on dying coals. Gargle the spitball and then spits it out.
So don't you sermonize me, you racist shithole. It's still bourgeois when the bourgeois does it, fiddling with their sexual organs.
He adds. Some strange glandular process takes place in him at the thought, like cheese rising. And anger too, in addition to loneliness. The lieutenant coughs. Indeed, cough. Moving on, the victim arrives some time after her.
They moved into a deserted apartment above the roundabout. Radio equipment out for all to see. Reactionary radio playing, sloppy and drunk.
He nods towards the city.
I've seen their kind during the landing. Those Occidental and masked phalangs weren't conscripts. Boys like us. They were whites. All they know is to destroy and hurt.
So fights, eh?
Barely alive. They like to kill while they're on their drugs. After the landing, in the burning years, I would take shots at them. End them. The worst ones, if I had a bullet to spare. I could see they've returned now to show their real face. The face they don't dare show their bourgeois voters back on Mundi with their families and polyester clothes.
So, what specifically did you not like about what you saw the night of the murder?
Them fucking. I didn't like that.
He looks at the shardwood. So you were jealous?
Jealousy is a reactionary concept. I didn't like the Reaver enjoying himself, drugged out, soothed in the arms of a young woman. I wanted him to die so he could not enjoy life anymore.
Right, just didn't want him to enjoy life. Because you hadn't been able to enjoy life at all for ages.
And I wanted to see his head explode. That too. She should know better than to hold a child murderer between her thighs. I knew he'd be there for one more second, writhing.
He nods.
That's all it takes for the bullet to reach his head. Now that I think of it, I wasn't aiming for his mouth. I wanted his brains to spill out on her. But you can't have everything.
He squints and then shrugs. Can't have everything, not quite that much. But I do feel bad for Glacia. So no matter how much she lied, she didn't lie about not having anything to do with the murder itself. Just she did still wrong things, yes, but in that sense I'm okay of her escaping. It's just that the other more even innocent people had to die, so to speak, more innocent. If you can consider that they still participate in making that lynching loop thing happen, the way it looked and stuff like that. But yeah, just sucks, really sucks. But yeah, just a horrible, basically person. Of course, I understand he was in war. He saw worse things, specifically from, like, if you think how many died. It was not just one person, but still, it's not a nice thing to be living with the fact of seeing someone's brain basically spill out on you if that would have happened. This man has seen past her, like you did. And now he longs to see her covered in blood. To punish her. You wanted to punish her, so you killed him.
She practically breastfed that man. You wouldn't believe the things she let him do to her.
He shakes his head and stares at the ashes. While he stands here and rots all alone and then letting that happen. I hate women too, you know. You saw through her, so did I.
You're delusional. There's nothing to see in the soul of the bourgeois woman. It's the same as the surface. Sick hedonism and desperation.
I'm not like that and I don't think like that.
No one gives a shit what you think. You and your cronies kill 10 working-class men a day. I've heard the statistics on Channel 8.
The old man spits in the ass. Well, but what have I done? I've killed 3 people in my career. At least if it is honest truth, and it should be. How long had you been watching her?
Since she came to Martinez. I saw her sneaking in the reeds early in the morning, behind the Fell building. It was dark, still winter. She didn't have her skimpy outfit on then, just a spot in the night, moving.
I guess you took whatever she left in that, the passport and stuff like that, right?
Past the Fell building on the coast? What was she doing there?
Hiding something in the water. She had a fag after she'd done it. I was up in the ruins there. She couldn't see me, but I could see her, smoking. She was nervous, but not scared.
And beautiful. And beautiful.
That, too.
He nods.
How could you see what she looked like? You said it was dark.
The sun came up. Her hair was like cobwebs. She smoked more fags and snorted a line of whatever shit she was on, right there. She needed it just to move.
He shakes his head. What do you think she hid there?
Her passport and tickets to Villiers. And from there to Cachet Brut.
Yep, I'm not surprised that he knew, he coughs. This is the hidden boyo she told us about. You looked into it?
After she was gone.
He nods.
Did you keep what was in it? When we found the submersible, it was empty.
No. Why would I do that? I didn't need tickets to Villiers. I'd put them back. If I wanted to extort someone, I'd do better.
Makes sense, yeah. It's not like it was even her real passport. A little inconsistency. He was surprised to hear her name Clasley before. Would he not have seen it on the documents? Indeed, there was no name like that there, right? You saw her name on the passport, but before, when I said her name Clasley, you didn't seem to recognize it.
You didn't say Klasia in there.
He shakes his head. Yep, just like it shouldn't have. What did it say her name was in the passport?
It was something. I don't remember. It was dark that morning. I only remember her face on the photo.
Are you sure? We checked the submersible. There was nothing there now, at least.
Why would I need that trash? I'm not going to Villiers.
Yeah, but there was a photo of her. He looks to the reeds, confused. A strange confusion comes over him from time to time. Some kind of an aberration of the nervous system. I guess so. Interesting. Maybe doesn't remember everything. So moving on, did you continue watching her after this?
I did. She had a face like an archipelago with those birthmarks. And a body hard and lean and bruised all over. Black and yellow. I could see she's taken a beating.
He almost smiles.
I could see who she was, too. A spook. On the run. Revishal's the cloaca of capital now. All the bagmen and arms dealers end up here to do drugs and have sex like animals.
He nods.
You could tell she was a spook? From the documents?
Not from that, but how she was acting, I can think.
She had different color hair on the photo. And glasses. Forged. Some sordid bourgeois affair. I've heard about this kind of thing on the radio.
He is educated in that sense, heard all sort of things, knows what is going in the world to at least some degree. The bruises, you can't make that out in the scope. And you could see her bruises through the scope of a rifle? Don't think so.
You can't see bruises through a scope. It's just a blur.
He shakes his silver grey head. Footprints in the dust, could have changed shoes, found the peephole. I can't do this, I'm sure, after this too. So you had feelings for that woman?
There's nothing to hold on to. Only this. It's not enough.
He sighs. The coals of his eyes glisten suddenly, like stones dripping with water. Is he crying?
Man needs to feel something else. In this fight, it helps if you have your eye on something there. It's weakness, I know.
He looks to the city. So, he did have feelings for her. Even if maybe he wouldn't have wished to have. There have been others?
Yes, over the years. It's not unproletarian to feel something.
True. Was that why you left the dried flowers behind her window?
No.
He starts to shake his head again, a sunflower on the withered stalk. Why then?
I don't really know. I was there one night and she was crying, like a child, in the corner of her room on the floor, like she does sometimes.
When was this?
The day after I killed him.
Yeah, it would have made sense that she would be crying. And you brought her Maybells.
Yes. I don't know why I do the things I do anymore.
He looks at the shard locks. First you kill the guy she actually loved and had to see you murder in front of her. And then you bring flowers. Cool. It's as if something put the thought there to leave the flowers. Something put the thought in you, a compulsion of sorts.
What do you mean, put?
He raises his eyes, they're round and white. A brief flash of terror. I just got this feeling from what you said. Do you agree?
Maybe. I told you, I have holes in my brain now. I wouldn't just sit here waiting for you.
Unless that would be the case, you mean. He lowers his head and just stares at the locks. A sudden bang of rage.
If you came 10 years ago, I would have killed you.
He wipes his eye. In the silence, the lieutenant draws a line in his notes. One more down. Well, then we can try to do this. No additional points, but it is not a bad chance. Footprints in the dust, could have changed shoes, found the peephole, so maybe we can succeed. So, how does he know the minute details about her body? Yeah, success barely, I think. Yep, just exactly. It quickly comes to you. The bruises on her body, any chance you've seen them through a hole in a wall?
Oh, yes. Cutting those drugs of hers into little lines with a knife. Masturbating.
He smacks his lips, like what she's been doing there. Everything in him fills with impossible longing all at once, but never approached her nonetheless, just looked at her, peeped at her.
Did you make that hole?
With a clip-point knife.
So, not that old as one could have originally thought it to be. Good for listening in too, for hearing the moaning and the snorts. So ever see her through a window on a roof?
Like that, too. Yes. Bending like a bow against the glass.
He nods. You've seen through the secret route behind the whirling racks. Those were your footprints there. You just change your shoes. Move on.
I've been through all of Martinez. Every nook and cranny.
And that one too.
Yes, that too. The things they did in that little room. What she'd do to feel good. Funny the way light works.
He shakes his head almost in awe. He explains then, the funny, the way the lights work.
You turn it on inside, and it gets so dark out, you can't see a man looking in. I learned that in the 20s, when they were still hunting me. I've seen people do some shit, but...
He keeps shaking his head. You hear the familiar scribble of the lieutenant's pen, a quick glance at you. One more loose end down. We're doing this, detective. We definitely, this is already, I feel, enough.
How did you get in there? The hidden pinball workshop.
Then at the man. Probably, actually, he is the one that hit that key.
I can just walk in there now after a good wash. I told you, they think I'm an antisocial. Closing hour is a good time. The kitchen's empty.
Makes sense.
You had to open the steel door in the kitchen? How?
I got that open a long time ago. Some bourgeois game merchant lived there. I don't know, 15 years ago. He left spare keys all over, and I took one. Then I saw her turn the light on one night in my scope.
He points towards the whirling in racks.
One more thing. The flowers, Mr. Dross. The dried flowers that were on the roof.
Yes.
What about them?
Did you leave the dried maple behind her window? Maples. Well, I kind of think that he said already that he did.
I did. I shouldn't have. It was a mistake.
A tremor passes the right side of his face. Why did you?
I was there one night, and she was crying, like a child, in the corner of her room, on the floor.
This was
The
the
day
same.
after I-
Yep, the
Yes.
same. And I'm just
What do you
gonna go
mean?
through this because that's what I
Maybe.
said.
If you can't...
Okay, so in conclusion, it wasn't about him, it was about her more than him.
Her.
He repeats, staring at the ashes, then at the reeds. There's a twitch in the corner of his eye. The lieutenant nods at you, in acknowledgement. That's it. Motive, we have it.
Where is she, that Clasier? I haven't seen her there for days.
The old man looks at you. She got away, but she let us here first. She figured out someone was watching her from the sea fort.
Gone. I knew it. She kept staring into the scope this last week, at the island, like she knew.
He looks the city and nods and sighs.
She'd look, at night, crying or smoking on the roof, staring right into me. It doesn't matter.
Do you feel any regret? He adds to no one in particular. It doesn't matter. Mid-town, across the Bay of Revanchol, snow falls on the 40-story towers. Above them, Lausanne Central Aerodrome, a cocoon suspended in the snowy sky by a web of suspension wiring, encircled by hybrid aircraft. Look north. On the platform, a young woman is withdrawing from amphimatides, barbiturates, and alcohol. It's ghastly. Yet still she smiles among the crowd, among the other coasts of the city. She's leaving for another far south, having a new life. Smaller, distant, hidden, not like the great chandelier she sees sparkle in the spring air below her. Streets and towers, tenements and water, and across it a dark strip of ruins barely visible, if she didn't squint her eyes. There, on a dilapidated jetty in a nameless village, 2 police officers at the same time and 1 special consultant look across a narrow strip of sea. The ruins of a seafort stick out of the water built by Philip II, reappropriated by the commune, then lost in the landing. Yep, they're looking into here where we are right now. Is they doing what exactly? I don't know. Satellite officer Viscamere points at the ruins. Behind that anti-aircraft something, that's why we can't see him. Special consultant Heidelstam is optimistic. We'll see the boat when he comes. Let's go get the coffee until then. I know this interesting little place where his voice trails off as the 3 walk down the jetty. As the men go, Patrol Officer Minot looks back over her shoulder at the crumbling fortification in the snowfall, like a rotten tooth rising out of the water. Good luck, Harry, she thinks. You need something good for this.
We could get more. We've got him talking.
Yes, we can. The lieutenant uses the opportunity to tell you in a lowered voice. Who knows what he's seen and done over the years? True. You could get more out of him. He likes talking. Enough. Take him in. Bend his arms behind his back and end this. More? Yes. Good. Odd flower behavior. Which is cool. Been looking at anything else you haven't liked?
A tragic comedy.
He shakes to like.
Druggies, prostitutes, and rentiers.
Strange little engine seems to fire up in him again. It straightens his back. More specifically?
Specifically, the whole city is a charnel house. Stripped clean and draped in neon. But Martinez...
He shakes his head.
Martinez is the worst.
In a grave disgust. How come?
Because of the racists. Everyone is a racist in Martinez. It's their favorite thing to do in the whole world. Listening to race-themed radio shows. In the ruins, in their lorries.
He points inland.
Pumped full of steroids and Radio Revachol 92. Race this, race that. It's all sanctioned by that Social Democratic Union and the farce of a Social Democrat who runs it.
So, Mr. Clare?
Yes, the fly larva in his container. He let some nihilistic advertising yuppies erect a statue of Philippe III, a syphilitic murderer, on the town square, to spit on the working class.
Anything more?
Not since the serfs of ancient Pericarnassus has history produced a more inert social class than the Martinez proletariat. The rest of Revachol at least pretends to rebuild. These people still live in ruins. Intense, like animals, like those boom-boom morons on the ice. A pity they didn't drown in that tent of theirs.
He points to the church. He keeps shaking his head with sorrow for the sight he missed. That's all?
The worst of them is the blood-drenched Sucrion on her yacht, licking her lips. The old whore's gone now. Her gun-toting porcelain men are dead. So, actually, no. The worst is that old cock parading around in his uniform, throwing balls all day. It's not enough that the racists and liberals are dancing on our graves. The old loyalist ghouls still parade the ruins too.
I guess he wasn't in the same group, that loyalist, but he was a nice guy. He also died just a little while ago. I would prefer him not talking like that about him. He was nice. In his own way, even if he was mean.
Every morning he's there. While the parasites he fought to protect are off in Ozon, or Coyamoran, or some other island they built their palaces on, feeding on drugs and having sex with their own children.
I kinda doubt that, but say nothing.
That's all the rich really want. Sex with their own children. Throughout history, even the royal bloodline of the suzerain, it's all just an excuse for them to have sordid sex. At least that old cunt, Frisell, is now dead.
You're just so happy. Now I have some questions about this.
We did good when we pushed him under the horse car. Until, in the 30s, those disco whores.
He breathes in his breath heavy with hatred. You cannot make out a single word. The disco furs are too much. Hatred shuts down his brain's language center, leaving only a nonsensical sputter. Ask about what Cockon parade too. Make sure you get everything here. But a cock parading in his colorful uniform, you mean a Renee, definitely.
Every fucking morning for 34 years. Throwing that ball. One ball against the other. I've always loathed that game. That is not a working class game. I don't care what they say on Radio June.
He grinds his teeth in rage.
Royalist ghouls played like it was life itself. Click, clack across the water each day. And that uniform, like a parrot plumage. I won't even mention that he's a traitor to his race. A petanque maniac race traitor.
He makes the sound of a ball connecting. Now, I don't know about...
I remember him. I remember him from La Noce. Not him, personally. His make and model. There were tens of thousands of them. I thought we took them all out before the Liberals came to their rescue. We missed one.
So, yeah, he was one of those that survived from your attack. And you so hate him, because his ideological view is different. But yeah, I was feeling that maybe it was that way, but then on the other hand, he would have died in your hands if the others wouldn't have come to the rescue. He points to his black eye.
That one.
With his shaky finger, he points the city towards the crater near the plaza where a lonely pine tree stands. There doesn't seem to be a single person under the pine today, not even Caston alone. There's no one there now.
Fat and plump, like a pheasant. Just begging to be popped off. Please, Mr. Dross, shoot me.
He does not hear you. A grin stretches across his face and he says very softly. He whispers with such predatory hunger it borders on a longing. You'd like to kill him?
Not yet. I like to look at him strut around, place the crosshair on his medals, right on his face, and just fiddle the trigger. Think about it. Let the bomb melt in my mouth.
The smile lingers.
Save the treat for later?
The lieutenant asks cheerfully.
He is a juicy bonbon, that one. A real treat for the black day. The blackest. When I put that gun in my own mouth, I think. No, don't waste it. Put this lead in that cock Rene. For the boys he killed. And then I look at him throw those balls, and I suddenly feel
He lets out a wistful sight.
better. I even hid one bullet, so I'd always have one for him. Haven't seen him around lately, strutting around. Must be down with arthritis. I hope it hurts like hell. I hope he sweats blood.
He's not dead already. The lines on his face straighten and he looks inland. Hearing it may destabilize him. You sure you've gotten everything from him? Not everything. I guess I should go into this a little later.
Yes, of course. Must be passing a kidney stone. I hope it's excruciating. At least it keeps him from throwing his balls.
He mutters to himself. He seems relieved. Could he have been worried for him? He reminds him of himself. The same hatred, the same... You try to think of another thing, but no, it's just hatred. Yep, they were very similar, even if completely in a different faction. They are veterans of the same war. Somewhere west in the coal city, his enemy is lying in a dark room on a metal slider in Elysium Municipal, like the will too. Soon, half of the war between these men is over. With the agitated gate, satellite officer John Heron Visquemere paces the jetty 22 kilometers east in Martinez. What could he possibly be doing there for so long, he says. Police work? Patrol officer Judith Minot replies, with a tinge of hope in her voice. A tinge of warmth too, against the cold air rising from the water. So disco horse.
Horse.
Is all he says. Even the word has to be pushed through his teeth with great force. The rage is too hard. So you mentioned the Union is social democratic, and Mr. Clare a farce of a social democrat.
Another hideous disappointment. Unions are the real enemy. The true enemy of the proletariat. Placating the masses.
He pokes at the ash. Whose disappointment, Everard Clare?
That deformed toad? I wouldn't expect him to wipe his own ass. I mean, the brains of the operation. The smart one.
The brother, I think. Doesn't Everard run the Union?
That mobster toad couldn't run a shithouse. He has no political education. His twin, Edgar Clare, that one's been to one of those East Revachol universities. He talks a big game about uprising and alienation and so on.
All right. He's been sweet-talked by this Edgar. They must have met in person for such anonymity to have developed. Well, we're not the first person you've met from the city, are we?
You can't live alone.
He stopped poking at the ash now, just shakes his head. So other people knew of your existence, but they didn't think that you would have been the killer, didn't tell us?
The Clares wouldn't miss a man hidden in their own backyard. Not all this time. Nothing happens in Martinez without them knowing.
Makes sense. Of course, maybe the Clares asked him to. Don't go straight for the kill. Exhaust everything else first. Soften him up. Have you approached them?
I haven't approached anyone. I hid. It was Edgar who came to me.
Makes sense.
How did he know you were here?
He didn't just stumble in like an oaf. He figured it out. Some kids told him about a monster on the island. I told you, he has brains.
He nods to you. He points to the path leading to the tower.
Stepped right off the boat and walked down where you came. I even kept the door open for him. Thought he was a man of the left. Wouldn't rat me out.
All right.
I was right about one of those things.
Wouldn't rat you out. That is indeed true. So when was this?
20 years ago. Neither of them could walk now, could they? They were less fat then.
Makes sense. That's around the time the Clares came to power. So what did you talk about?
Edgar did the talking. Paid his respects like I were a fossil in a uniform. Offered platitudes about the struggle. Flaunted his pink degree. Even quoted Marzoff.
Uh-huh.
Never trust a social democrat who quotes Marzoff. Oh, and charity too. They love their charity. Offered me blankets and social housing. I still have the gas cooker he brought.
He suddenly remembers. Well, something nice they were trying to do. And he let you be here.
Let me be here? The ZOC is an unlawful successor of the Commune of Revachol. We took this fortification from the Loyalists. Even the Clares understand this.
He looks around. So I don't think this is the case, but hey, gotta at least ask. Mr. Jaws, did you kill the Colonel mercenary for the Glares to incite a riot?
You know why I killed that fucker, Dwat. As to Edgar, I'm not doing anything for that swine again.
So you did something for him though? He shakes his head.
Again? What have you done for Edgar before?
Indeed.
Tried teaching him some Marzovian socioeconomics. They didn't stick. We parted ways.
That is such an impossible check though. Logical legendary. I can try it soon, I think, I hope. But I'm glad we talked about this now.
Glad. It's all gone.
Let's not do that yet. Let's see about the composure and the logic. So that's it for now, old man. Stay put.
I ain't going anywhere.
Good. So composure and logic. Just try to max those out to the best of my capability. Logic and composure. That's of course conceptualization, which helps me not. Rhetoric, empathy, trauma. I could start a thought, but that just seems a little bit silly at this point. I guess I can try this, but it's kind of silly. Silly hat. But it does give logicality, which is kind of weird, but yeah, it does still. Usual calculuses. Yeah, not much for the composure. That's the one thing I already have on after all. But hey, at least we can have some little bit of logicality more with these. Not that it necessarily helps that much, but it's a little bit. We already have 3 freaking skill points. It's kind of ridiculous. Let me put one into succession. If we somehow get a chance in the island still. Probably not. But I can give a chance, I guess. Then, should I put already point into logic? Maybe 1 point. I still have 1 point then left. If I need it. Come on, talk. So, assess his body language. Let's try. Okay, we made it. What strikes you about this gaunt man is not the stomach pain or the cough or the malnutrition. For a man who spent 44 years hidden in the urban wild, he is surprisingly okay. Indeed, he speaks fluidly, his movements are rapid. If erratic, his voice, despite the cough, is there. It is capable of expressing complicated ideas. Above all, he seems animated. Animated by what? It's a mystery. This animation comes at a cost too. Erratic hand gestures, thought processes cut off like threads, as he just stares at the logs or the trees. He also suffers mood swings, bubbling to the surface, unconstrained by his nervous system. Great leaps of emotion, from anger to grief, despair, dementia. You've seen demented people before. This feels similar, yet different. When his thoughts move, they are lucid, keen even, not senile. Indeed, I do feel that it's not the same. Is this some kind of a substance damage? Like he's addicted to something, not only the painkillers is clearly on? Wouldn't the foul temper be a byproduct of his life? Perhaps, but he seems more than that. The inner turmoil takes unexpected turns as if forced on him in a way. In summary, you sense some underlying neurological disorder. Mr. Draws, are you on some kind of a psychoactive substance? He snaps out of staring through you.
No. I won't be stuffed full of shit like the rest of this city.
You said you take painkillers.
The lieutenant follows your lead.
I take them to cope with pain. The people of this city use painkillers because they have pain. Untreated illnesses. Not enough money for a greedy doctor.
It's not a downer, rather an upper, judging by his snaps. Are you on amphetamines?
Like some kind of decadent rock star.
He doesn't dignify it with more of an answer. Mr. Tross, are you okay? How is your memory? Finish the examination.
No, I'm not okay. I shit blood, and I'm surrounded by insane people.
He waves his hand, chasing something that's not there. There it is again. Erratic hand motion, bouts of rage, and the stomach sting too, of course. Could it be symptoms of overdosing on something? Something even you have not tried? Keep your eyes peeled. Interesting. So I want to ask again about the people you don't like. 72%. Okay.
Glad.
Let's just, because we have this, so why not try to up it even more? Actually, no. Maybe I don't need to do that, level up, but we can use this. And that will already itself increase my abilities a little bit after on that front. So, logic legendary. What was the deal between him and Edgar? If it doesn't work in the 83%, this is the same as the freaking succession that didn't work out, then fine, it doesn't work. Ah, it worked. Yay. The connection comes to you, like a splash of gold water, dark gold water. 20 years ago when you met Edgar, the Clares didn't run the Union yet, did they? A sputter from the old man. Talk, please. There you go. He acknowledges it. Here we go, a twist behind the dark bend. Who did?
That bourgeois cow. Tiffin Holly was her name. Licked the rich man's hand every time he came to town. Never seen a labor leader so hot on mutual cooperation.
Tiffin Holly was her name. He narrows his eyes.
And money. She liked that too. That Holly was a real bridge builder and a deal maker.
His eyes glisten suddenly with hatred. Bordering on sentimentality, it drips out of him, tempered by something familiar to you, a familiar rage. She was also a woman, wasn't she? Like that Glacia?
She was. And she was real soft on those money men. Had a Barbara Muskova bag over her shoulder that she liked to bring to work.
And then she just disappeared.
Called in, they say. On the eve of battle. Ran away. Vanished like a piss stain.
He squints and smiles at the black locks. Nope, that's not quite it, is it? Yep, that's what I'm thinking. It's not it. The lieutenant.
Did she?
Yeah.
They say her daughter called in, not her personally. But that wasn't really her daughter, was it?
The lieutenant wills it too, in his black gaze.
No, I guess it was not.
You could swear you see the embers glow again under his eyes, on the dust. Edgar had someone make the call. Why is that, Mr. Tross?
She couldn't make the call herself.
Yeah. Here it is, the bend in the river. Why?
Because she was dead.
So how come?
Because the cow caught a bullet in her right lung. Fell into the canal, grasping her tit, and drowned. Or bled. Hard to say. It was a sloppy job, on a moving target.
But you did it.
She was going home, waddling, dressed in yellow, drunk like she often was. The ruins are black around her, and she had a yellow leather bag under her arm. She tried to cross the canal.
All right.
Heading home to Grand Couronne or Betancourt, someplace like that, where they build those new bâtiments for the people who flourish in the hell around her, and the ruins.
So, you shot her.
Someone shot her. Or maybe the cow just fell. My memory is full of holes. All I know is...
His eyes grow cold suddenly. He shrugs. Another big spike of rage, different from the one he has for her.
Nothing changed. Not in the material base. Not in the hegemony. There was no uprising. Just words. The Union fizzled. Sogged. Nothing came of it. Nothing.
Yeah, they didn't change things.
Edgar didn't keep his part of the deal.
Indeed. A spotter again, nothing more.
If you were to testify to this, give the RCM something on Edgar, you could walk.
The lieutenant says in a voice even calmer, as if it were nothing at all.
We would strike everything you've done and process you as a POW. You were in a war. You were on assignment. We could even extradite you to the Samaran People's Republic.
A degenerate workers' state. Go shit. No, thank you. I'm Revacholian. My days are short. I will rot away here, in a moral intern cell. I will not testify to anything.
He spits and then he coughs. But yeah, I didn't think that he would, but the only reason would be maybe revenge, because he lied to him after all. He promised something that didn't happen. So in that sense, why wouldn't you? It's not for yourself, but rather for maybe having a change one day. Revenge, come on, just a little. Your bodies. You can tell me here, but you did do it.
I saw it happen, and I liked it. That's all I have to say. I didn't live and fight for 40 years to end up as a collaborationist. I've heard it on Channel 8, 40 AM, Radio Revachol, late night.
On the other hand, I think I should have said the last one, but maybe I can still say something more.
Everyone is a blobber in this world. Everyone betrays everyone. They're all already locked up for betrayal. The best ones, the ones with heart, were slaughtered, trampled.
He looks to the city. The same old freezing hatred. There is plenty here to work with once he's in custody, and the lieutenant knows it. He gives you a little nod to proceed. You know about that Rene?
Yes, where is he? I hope he doesn't have debilitating arthritis. Or kidney stones. He can still come out to play with balls and get shot in the head, right?
He tenses up. Oh my god, he's even worried for him. Rene is dead. He died of an old age a couple of days ago.
No.
Yes.
I waited too long. I waited too long and now he's dead?
Yeah, the old communard looks at you, his blackberry eyes shaking in disbelief.
I'm sorry, Mr. Dross. I understand you knew him for a long time.
Yeah, the lieutenant says softly.
They're all dead now. Fuck it.
He just shakes his head. If he really wanted to kill him so bad, he would have done. There must have been 1,000 black days on these islands, is held alien. You had 1,000 chances to kill him.
And I blew them all. What does it matter now? He's gone. Ancient dust.
Yes, service. He reminded him of himself. The same hatred, the same... You try to think of something else, but no, it's just hatred. You cared about him in some sense?
All human beings care about each other. I cared for seeing his head explode. Now, God damn this world.
A little flash of anger. Well, I'm sorry.
Fuck you.
The old communard says, staring at the ground, seemingly to the islands you're on. Are you okay, Mr. Dross, to go on?
You think I haven't seen people die? It's all I've seen them do. Fuck and die. All the other plans we had. To love. To colonize the Pale. It's all fucked.
He's not okay. This is just another black day in a row of black days. Something strange is keeping him together, make him endure. Alright, that's it then.
Glad we talked about what?
Another erratic gesture, he's trembling. So, Yosef Lidinovich Dross, you're under arrest for the murder of the Krenel colonel here in Martiniz.
What? But you said I would be taken to the...
The old man's eyes fill with sudden, unexpected terror at the words. What would I have said? I didn't say anything of the sort. He does seem like he's almost like trembling. This terror is the sum of all the uncontrollable movements and mood swings he's been exhibiting. The wind picks up. The silence of the water is broken all around you. Little shivers of waves appear. The lieutenant continues like an incantation.
Your wayfarer rights have been suspended. Information provided to the officers on the scene will be used against you by the prosecution. You will be given legal counsel within 1 week and must face court in 44 days. Do you understand? ... Do you understand?
But
Kim, he's afraid.
no, I don't want to. I have to stay here.
I have to stay here. He looks at the reeds, eyes submerged in growing terror. Well, you can't, after what you did. He's sweating. Beds are warming in on his forehead. Pupils are dilated too, eyes getting blacker and blacker. He might just die from a heart attack or something now.
Your confirmation is not required, sir. Now on to the boat.
To be continued with Kira Rusha next time in Disco Elysium. See you all then.